another day, another almost perfect handheld emulator that I'm probably gonna return. I really do love this thing though. It's just a couple things that really break it for me. Okay, let's start with the good. The screen, even though it's a 1x1 screen, is pretty freaking awesome. The colors are great. It gets bright, it gets dim. Even though it is 1x1, most of the games don't look terrible. I do wish that it was 4x3, but I heard somewhere, I don't remember who said it. I was watching a video on this thing, and whatever YouTuber I was watching at the moment was saying that they don't think there is a 720p 4x3 screen out there already, which is kind of shocking to me. At least maybe in this like size, I don't know. But I think if it was a 4x3 720p screen at this size, if they just a little bit bigger, just beep, that big, and then they fix one other thing about this would be perfect for me. This thing is powerful enough that it can play PS2, Dreamcast, GameCube, even 3DS stuff, which is pretty much the max of any Android device. Yes, this isn't the most powerful processor, but it's powerful enough to play those systems at like native resolutions or maybe slightly above native resolution, depending on the game you're playing. But that's good enough for me. I am a stickler for resolution sometimes, but 480p on a 720p screen, as long as I'm getting a stable 60 FPS or close enough to it, I'm not really complaining. This screen is so small that it really doesn't matter. The pixel density is nice. Since most of the consoles you're going to play on here are that 4x3, 8x7, 3x2 aspect ratio, a 4x3 screen would just be so much better. But that being said, even when we're in PS2 games like God of War here running at a 4x3 aspect ratio, the black bars aren't that bad. But if the screen was extended just a little bit to the side and we got rid of these black bars, this would be a much bigger screen to play with. And it would be, oh yeah, I need that stupid box. I hate this section of this game. It would be so much better. This isn't the best game to show off because it is very dark. Like these black bars really aren't that bad. It looks great. It's got great colors. I feel bad complaining about it because I knew this going into it, and it really doesn't bother me that much. It's just more of like a perfect handheld because this is so close to a perfect handheld for me that it's just like I want to say what would make it a perfect handheld, and it is having that 4x3 screen. But that being said, all these controls, the comfortability of these little grips on the back, it being quiet, even though it's got a fan, it's on auto all the time. It doesn't really kick up at all. Very rarely does it. And even then, it's not noticeable. I have not noticed the fan noise at all. It's got USB-C headphone jack. They're not in awkward places. It's got stereo speakers. They do fire downward, but they're still coming towards you at least a little bit. Depends on what angle you're playing at. I don't really care for this style of D-pad, but it's a fine D-pad. It's not clicky. It is a membrane D-pad, but that's what I prefer. The ABXY is honestly pretty darn good. Feels great. There's a little bit of travel to them, but it's not egregious. The L and R buttons, very clicky. If you sleep next to anybody, that's going to annoy them at night. But it does have full analog triggers, which is nice. I mean, I say full, they don't travel that much, but analog triggers, pretty nice, especially if you're emulating, I don't know, GameCube. The right stick is a little uncomfortable to reach for, but it's really not that bad because the majority of the games that you're going to be playing on here aren't going to use the right stick that much. The games that I've played on PS2 and GameCube don't really utilize the right stick that much. It wasn't until the 360 PS3 generation that they started using the right stick a lot more for like camera controls and stuff. For the games that I play, like God of War, that's really the only one that I can think of that heavily uses the right stick. But even then, you're just flicking it around to dodge. So like being up here all the time, like 95% of the time, and then coming down to flick to dodge out of the way. I don't have that like hand cramp feel that I would have if the left stick was in this D-pad position and I was having to use it all the time down here. And that being said, I wouldn't really want to use the D-pad that much. This is not a D-pad centric console for me, even though the majority of the games you're going to play on here are gonna be D-pad games. I guess, I don't know. With Dreamcast, PS2, and GameCube, Like Citra, the 3DS slider, this is a step up from the 3DS slider. PSP, oh, if it is a stick game on the PSP, this is so much better than playing an actual PSP. N64, I guess I would say it's pretty even. The screen says like D-pad centric games, but the device itself is like it's either or. I'd say it's pretty 50-50. And I prefer to have the stick up top in that more comfortable position because if I want to play a D-pad centric game, I'm probably going to play it on a different console if I'm being real. Like I don't even have Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance games loaded on here at all because I have the actual devices that I would rather play it on. And so like, yeah, maybe like SNES and NES. I don't really play those consoles that often. I never play Genesis games. So that's why you see the consoles up here that you see. But that being said, Game Boy games, Game Boy Color games that use that 1:1 screen aspect ratio are going to look gorgeous on here. While I don't have them loaded on here to show you, people like Bob Wolf and other YouTubers that review these consoles, they look good in their videos. And I know having that full aspect ratio is going to look very nice. But enough about the screen. The last control that I'm kind of dancing around, the last big thing that is keeping me from like really wanting to keep this device is the stick. I absolutely love Crazy Taxi. And the thing that I've been searching for, if you haven't been keeping up with my Retroid Pocket 4 and other emulation handheld stuff reviews like this one, I just want something that I can play Crazy Taxi with, that I can play God of War 1 and 2 with, maybe some other GameCube and PS2 games, maybe some Dreamcast. Honestly, I don't care for Dreamcast that much. Mostly something that I can play Super Monkey Ball, Crazy Taxi, and God of War with at any given moment. Something that's going to fit in my pocket because, like, you know, as much as I love the Steam Deck and as great as those games are on Steam Deck, that thing's kind of huge. So as far as portability, I would rather have something this size for games like Crazy Taxi where I'm only going to play it for like 10-15 minutes and I don't need to drag around a Steam Deck just to play this on the go. And same thing with Monkey Ball. Like I can knock out Advanced on Super Monkey Ball 1 in probably 10 minutes and I could play that once, maybe twice, get my kicks and I'm done. I don't need a whole Steam Deck lugged around for that. And this is great. And like honestly, you know what? The more I play it, the more I'm changing my mind. Oh, I should probably pick someone up, huh? Oops. Now there's no one near me to pick up. Oh no. This person, can I get there in time? Yeah, probably. Maybe. I don't know. Oh gosh. Cool, but I'm not going to pick up anybody in time. The pastor's too far away. Anyways, the other big problem with this device that I'm not feeling like it's as big of a issue after playing a game of Crazy Taxi here is the stick. Really, it's both sticks. The sticks kind of magnet to the cardinal directions. And honestly, I haven't really noticed it in the majority of games I've played. It is pretty obvious in some games. Like Super Monkey Ball, I definitely notice it. Crazy Taxi, I didn't really notice it. And it's not so much that's the big issue for me. It's just the fact that the Switch Joy-Con sticks don't really give you that much like precision. So for something like Super Monkey Ball that I do want to pick up and play maybe a couple times a week, it gets really annoying not having that precision because Super Monkey Ball, you need that precision. I've played enough beginner and advanced that I don't need that precision. I'm going to be better on a GameCube or the newer versions on PlayStation and stuff. I'm going to be good with those. Here, I might have to use a continue because the stick is so funky. If I had a full-size stick, I'd just really prefer a full-size stick. Having more control makes a whole world of difference. And with how short and stubby these sticks are, even though I've never had stick drift, I don't mind these. It's just for certain games, I want that precision. I would not play PS5 games with a Switch Joy-Con stick. This doesn't play. Actually, I probably could get a PS Remote Play on here, but the sticks are very, very important to me, at least. I don't know about you. And when I want a device that's small, that is meant for playing PS2 and GameCube primarily on the go, I want a good stick. And so I really like this device. Like, I want to love it. I really do. It's cute. It's comfortable. It does like 95% of what I want it to do. But if it was just a 4x3 screen and had full size sticks, man, it would have my heart entirely. Just ever so slightly disappointing. But I still do recommend it. If that doesn't bother you, because it really doesn't bother me that much, then I recommend getting this. It is only like $170, I think, probably pre-shipping. I spent like $230 on this because, if you haven't been keeping up with this saga of me trying to find the perfect handheld emulator for my use case, I have a ton of Amazon credit because I have an Amazon credit card and I buy a lot of stuff on Amazon. I wanted to buy it with my Amazon credit, so I'm essentially getting it for free. And so maybe I shouldn't even return this because it is a free device at the end of the day, but I could put that money towards something else when I'm not like super happy with this. And it having that cardinal direction thing in the software is kind of annoying. I don't mind it when I do want to play a D-pad game and the stick is in a more comfortable position. That does make D-pad games the stick better, but it makes stick games with a stick worse. And again, not having more precision on these sticks it just sucks. I don't know, man. I'm torn. I want to keep it, but I don't want to keep it. I don't know what to do. I have like a week to decide before the return window's up. I'm just glad that Anbernic decided to take a break from making this, but slightly different, for the 18th time in a row to make a pretty cool and more out there device. Because eventually I'll make a video complaining about how boring handheld emulators have gotten recently. But for now, this is still not the perfect device for me. And I guess the search continues. Stay tuned.